Hey, Tactical 40K. Let's talk about worlds. So, Vanguard Spearhead, that detachment took second. Granted, he didn't play Raven Guard. He played Ultramarines, which I've talked about in the past. Is Vanguard Spearhead gives you armies that normally wouldn't be Raven Guardish. It gives them Raven Guard-like abilities, where using like Cave and Shrike and all that might be more advantageous in other detachments, because now you're giving that detachment Vanguard abilities, because that's what Caven does. Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion, but we might get into it a little bit. But right now, we know John Lennon was defeated by Manny Chima in the World Championships after playing like 3 times. But the real contentious thing about this Vanguard Spearhead thing happened when they first met up in the brackets after the group stage, and there was a calculated feint stratagem played with some aggressors who had Marnius Calgar attached to them, and it was something happened where he needed to get behind a wall, and in that stratagem, you do it in the charge phase. Once the opponent has the picture unit as a charge victim or whatever, is selected to charge against you roll it. If it's not a Phobos, your scout unit. Phobos scout unit, you're going 6 one way or the other. If you're not, you're rolling a d6 and you go those up to the normal move, right? So here's the deal with that, though. So he rolls a 6. He needed a 6, apparently. That's where I said it. I don't know if he needed a 6. It looks like he can get behind the wall because he made advance roll, as far as I know, a 6-inch advance out, and he was out. Excuse me. But he needed a 5. Said he needed a 6. Maybe he needed a 5. It didn't look like it to me when I saw it, but I don't know. But anyway, he did roll a 6, and I guess he moved him 6, apparently. But here's the interesting thing about that. Anyway, he ends up conceding that game over the rule that was brought to his attention later on over the supposed rule violation. Sorry, I'm coughing. I still got stuff in my lungs. But the interesting fact about that is Marnius Calgar was part of that unit. Marnius Calgar moved 6 inches. So could he have done that a certain way where he would have still won that game? I don't know. Probably. Maybe he didn't need to concede that game at all. But anyway, it's interesting to bring up that calculated feint thing. So normally, if it was just a straight aggressor squad, you roll a 6, you still ain't moving 5. But you had Marnius Calgar in there, and he can move 6, so he could have moved 6, and then the other guys, he got 5 or whatever. That being said, I guess it was still a great showing for the Vanguard Spearhead attachment. I guess we can go into some, like I said, the calculated feint is pretty awesome. Now, let's go into kind of his list. He was running Marnius Calgar and Euro of Interest, making them Ultramarines. Here's what that does. So, Vanguard Spearhead is a CP-heavy detachment. So, if you go to like Ironstorm or some of these other ones, their ability is what you're there for, the rerolls, and the strats might be not necessarily, or maybe there's a good balance between them. Like in Gladius, there's a good balance between the actual detachment rule and the strats and enhancements, right? And vice versa, and or vice versa. Just and there's varying degrees of that throughout the detachments. Well, Vanguard Spearhead is one of those where, yeah, it's cool to be -1 hit, and yeah, it's cool to have the benefit of cover even when you're standing out there. But, you can get cover regardless. A lot of places, a lot of other armies have +1 to hit. So, at best, you negate some of the stuff, and it's okay to have. But you get it because there's cool enhancements. Blade Driven Deep. Give an infantry unit that normally doesn't have infiltrate, with a, obviously character. Ghost Weave Cloak, make your own lone op, essentially. Shadow War, you can vect a battle tactic, just like a Cladius. Then you have the strats, Strike from the Shadows, calculated, which increases BS and AP. The calculated feint thing, where you can move from charges. The guerrilla tactics, you can pick units up and throw them around the board, or you can pick 2 Phobos or Scouts units up. Where Scouts already kind of get picked up anyway. But you can take 2 Phobos units or just a regular infantry unit, which he was doing that. He was doing that with the Centurion Devastator squad that he had with las cannons. But the other thing that Ultramarines give you, besides Calgar being a CP generator, is he had Euro of Interest, and he was attached to company heroes, which actually seemed to be pretty good. But it allows you to designate another unit that doesn't normally have deep strike ability, deep strike. So he put that on his Centurions, and he was able to deep strike them around the board or pull them up and deep strike them. So that helped him out. Now the other, so that's one that helped him out a lot. But that's one of the reasons why you run Ultramarines. One, you can add to the flavor of Vanguard by getting another deep strike unit. Normally wouldn't have. But two, you have a CP generator with a really good unit anyway. That being said, I'll give you a couple other. So you can run Cave-In, Shrike, and Vanguard and still be, if you want to keep Raven Guardish, you just throw a captain in here so you can at least use a battle tactic free, because you want to use the strats of Vangaurd Spearhead. You want to. And you can become really CP starved if you don't have any way to use a free strat or ability to get CP. And Cave-In doesn't really give you that. He gives you a lot of other cool stuff, but he doesn't give you that. So the other detachment, or not detachment, the other army that you would want to run, with that in mind, would be in Vangaurd Spearhead detachment would be Dark Angels, because Ezreal gives you that CP regen. Plus, they have some good units. You got the Deathwing Terminators that are awesome to be able to put up the board and to be able to pick up and deep strike over and over again, move them around. So those two are my top for running that. Now I'm experimenting with a Blood Angels detachment, or a Blood Angels army in Vangaurd Spearhead. However, you're still not having that CP generation that you do with a Calgar and an Ezreal. And I'm still happy with Shrike in there, but I like putting Shrike in these other detachments with Vanguard vets, because he gives them that Vanguard flavor. Or not, he gives them that Raven Guard flavor, but you also have these other cool abilities to support that, or for him to support them. Excuse me. So that's why I like doing that, or that's where I'm leaning to. I still run Spearhead with him right now, but I'm going to start experimenting with some Blood Angel stuff. I'm going to experiment with the Ultramarines as well in there, which we already know that those are good. But then Ezreal, I think I'm going to build a number of those around there. You only need a few units. If you got the core Vanguard, then now that you can just play around with different color schemes, you don't need everybody to be yellow or everybody to be this color or whatever. It's easier to do so. But anyway, so those guys allow you to, or Calgar, Ezreal, allow you to CP generate. So that's awesome. And then if you have some captains in there, you can really be conservative with, or you can really optimize your CP. So I would rank Ultramarines as the top there, followed by Dark Angels for your Vangaurd Spearhead army that you want to take. Then we got Cave-In, and he's just a good dude to lead in a number of different detachments, in my opinion. You throw him in Ironstorm, you throw him in Firestorm, and things. He brings the Raven Guard flavor to those attachments. That's why you have him. But if you're going to like a competitive tournament or whatever, and you want to run Spearhead, Vangaurd Spearhead, you might look at doing this, what I'm talking about, whether it be running that, like I've talked about this in other videos, this detachment gives the Raven Guard to these other chapters, as opposed to enhancing Raven Guard or allowing you to play Raven Guard more. So you can take Raven Guard-ish guys, which is just Cave-In and when in his attached unit, or eliminators with the Librarian or whatever, and you can put those in these other detachments and give them Raven Guard-esque type things. So it, don't feel like you're stuck there. If you're a Raven Guard player, you're not stuck in these detachments. In fact, if you want to, like I said, competitively, Vangaurd Spearhead, like I said, Ultramarines because of Calgar, and then you get Ventress, and you can put another Deep Strike unit, a heavy Deep Strike unit or something in there, and then Ezreal for CP generation, and then you got Deathwing Terminators, which are solid, and you throw bricks of them up around the board, and you're looking pretty good. So that's my take on it. I'm going to keep it under 10, try to keep it under 10 minutes here. World Championship was awesome. I've got a couple of battles under my belt that I'll probably go over in a couple other videos, and then maybe we'll start doing some more stuff on this channel. But anyway, I'll talk to you later. Peace.